Hello, everybody. Welcome to our RedRaiders.com postgame show brought to you by University Medical Center. Saturday afternoon, Texas Tech knocking off the University of Houston 27-24. We're still here at TDECU Stadium after Red Raiders' big victory and ends a 16-game home winning streak by the University of Houston, which was the longest in the FBS. So a big afternoon for the Red Raiders, Nick.
Definitely a big afternoon. I think the biggest thing to take out of this is, yeah, they didn't quite finish them off, but they came on the road and they won, which has been a problem the last couple of years. They went on the road a lot of times and they didn't perform up to expectations. They laid an egg 2 years ago against Kansas. They won that game, but it was bad. Of course, the problems at Iowa State last year. They were 1-4 on the road last year. This gets it off to a good start. You're 1-0. You beat a good football team, probably the best team you've seen all year. I really liked the Houston defense, and Texas Tech was able to get enough done on offense thanks to 3 really big plays. And then, of course, the defense, Don. The defense looked really good today.
Isn't it always the defense with Texas Tech?
No, no, it's not. This is the best I've seen the defense look since I have been here, I think.
Which for you is, what, your third season?
Yeah, this is my third season. In your 29th or 30th season, Don, what are we up to now?
30th, 31st, something like that.
Something like that. When was the last time you saw the Texas Tech defense put on a performance like this that really lifted them to the win?
I'd have to think about that one. They've had a few here and there. I mean, they played some good defensive games, even in the Cliff Kingsbury era. I mean, you think about the TCU game that they won 20-10 back in, I guess it was Cliff Kingsbury's first season.
2013, I believe.
Yeah, but today it was the defense just kept rising up over and over and over because they needed to. I mean, this was kind of an old-fashioned defensive game. With Houston, Ed Oliver was the big, the All-American defensive tackle is kind of the big emphasis and the focal point. I thought he is as advertised. Red Raiders had a tough time getting much going offensively, and then it was just on the defense. They were having to do it again and again and again and again, and at the point that it got to be, Tech led 13-0 early, and then slides back to 13-10, and at the point it got to be 13-10, that feeling creeps in that eventually the defense has to break and Houston's going to score a touchdown, go ahead, but it just never happened.
No.
You had Jordan Brooks with a big after they get to 13-10, you have Eli Howard knock the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and Tony Jones scoops it up early in the second half. Early in the third quarter, you have Jordan Brooks make a big interception to thwart a drive down to the red zone, and then after that, Houston punts 4 times in a row, and really, and then the offense pops a couple of big plays, gets it out to 27-10, and really Houston's 2 touchdowns after that were kind of garbage time, and you didn't feel like you felt like you had the game put away once it was 27-10.
Yeah, it did seem like it was put away once it was 27-10. Houston did kind of come back and force that onside kick. It would have been scary maybe if they had gotten it. It wasn't a very good onside kick. It didn't even go to the 10 yards needed to really get it done. 5 turnovers, Don. I think you alluded to a couple of them there where there was Eli Howard causing the sack. Dakota Allen got an early interception. So I think the 5, I mean, that's really big for this team. Last year they were ranked, in the 90s or really low for turnovers? It was pretty.
I think even lower than that. I want to say they're bottom 10, bottom 15 in the nation in takeaways. It's what David Gibbs has been harping on the entire time that he's been here, and he said he can't guarantee that there's going to be turnovers, but they were going to coach ball stripping and those sorts of things. And today you see it pay off with 5 takeaways, and I believe that's the most the Red Raiders have had in a single game since back in the 2008 season.
Yes.
I want to get to one other thing, though, and you touched on it just a moment ago, is the big plays offensively today. On a day when Tech has tough sledding offensively and yards and points are hard to come by, the heat down here is just oppressive, surprise, but then the Red Raiders are patient, and in the second half it finally pays off and they pop 3 big plays.
They did. The first by Trey King with 73 yards. They didn't get to capitalize on that one because of a 31-yard missed field goal. But the next 2, Kiki Kuti goes for 77 yards.
77-yard touchdown pass.
Yep. And then, of course, Justin Stockton got it done with an 84-yarder. Didn't get it all the way to the touchdown. Afterward, he said it was his dad weight caught up with him. Which I thought
Justin's is not only a father, but he also is a expectant father because he and his wife are planning to have their second baby in February. So,
but he got to finish off that drive because he caught the next pass for 20 yards, scored the touchdown. 104 total yards for Justin Stockton on one drive, which is kind of unique to do.
Well, they had it. Yeah, they had the holding penalty in there in between. Right.
Get in there. So yeah, with 3 really big plays, and that's what I said in our pregame show, that Tech's going to have to make 2 or 3 really big plays to win this game. I thought it because it'd be in the 40s, not the 20s, but they did get those big plays they needed.
Yeah, and they do it on a day when they're big outside guys. Neither one has a very good day. Dylan Cantrell, I don't know if Houston necessarily game planned for him. You know, they saw what everybody else saw last week. He had that monster game against Arizona State. Didn't really do a whole lot today. And then Derek Willis kind of had a frankly a bad game. Yeah,
he had a bad game. He dropped a
touchdown pass.
Touchdown pass in the end zone. He had a penalty called on him. You know, it wasn't really his day to shine. But you know, he had a good day game last week, so those games kind of happened. But in the end, it didn't hurt the team. Of course, they might have been able to put him away, which is something this team needs to learn how to do, because Big 12 play, that's going to catch them and bite them if they don't. That's probably the only negative takeaway from this game, because the same thing happened last week against Arizona State. They should have put that game away early. They should have put this one away where you don't have to come down to an onside kick. That's probably the only negative, I think, the takeaway from the day is that they just didn't put the pedal down when they had the chance.
Yeah, with that said, though, and I said this going into the season, I didn't think this was a good enough team to be 3-0, but they are 3-0. They are 3-0.
They are 3-0, and I think that's really big for this team. Coming in, Houston, Eastern Washington, and Arizona State are all decent football teams. I don't know if any of them are great. This defense is really great between Ella Oliver, but I think coming out of that, it's really great for this team. It sets them up for the Big 12 play. They have a really tough game next weekend with Oklahoma State, and now they get to go in with a great momentum on a high for that game.
Great momentum on a high. With that said, though, a couple of things that we should mention that are kind of unfortunate. A couple of unfortunate things happened second half today. Before Vontae Dorsey, Jordan Brooks comes out of the game. Cliff Kingsbury says afterward it's a knee injury. Don't know the extent of it yet. Now, I saw kind of watching Jordan Brooks after he came out of the game. He looked okay, but with a knee injury, you never can tell. Sometimes you can look okay, and the knee can still be messed up. So very important that they get him back. You hope that they can dodge a bullet there, and then
Vontae Dorsey, of course, was wheeled off on a stretcher. Cliff Kingsbury after the game pretty much just said it was a head injury. That's all that he would elaborate. So
at least it was, it's one of those scary things where they bring the backboard onto the field to stabilize him, kind of do a group effort for your medical personnel, medical staff to put him onto the cart or stretcher without anything moving. But Vontae Dorsey, lifted the left arm and gave everybody a thumbs up, and then Coach Scott, his defensive backs coach after the game, tweeted that Vontae Dorsey's good. So, and Cliff Kingsbury, while he didn't want to go into great detail, said that the initial feedback that he had gotten was positive on Vontae Dorsey.
Which is really good news. Probably, some
that's
of the
best news of the day,
yeah,
for sure.
Exactly, it's the best news. Even after the win, even probably more so than the win, the health of these players matter the most, and to see that he's going to be okay will be the best in the long run.
Big picture, Texas Tech now back at home next Saturday night, taking on Oklahoma State, which is a 7 p.m. game. And Red Raiders did something that I think very important for Cliff Kingsbury to do, and that was to immediately or very quickly this season revitalize interest in the program and some consumer confidence in the program, because had they not had a fast start and a good September, you would have felt it at the gate. And now I think with a 3-0 team to root for, Texas Tech fans, I would fully expect for a 7 p.m. game next Saturday night, Jones Stadium's going to be the kind of the old hot atmosphere that we've seen in years past.
It's definitely going to be rocking down. I think that's going to be a very good game. Of course, Oklahoma State has the tough matchup with TCU today, so we'll see how that one shakes out and see where they're both at the next week. And it's going to be a heck of a game, I think. And I didn't think that, the start of the season, I would say, Oklahoma State's that's going to be a really tough game for the Red Raiders, because that's a good football team.
And I
don't know what the Red Raiders have. I would have thought they would have been 1-2 or 2-1 coming out of this. 3-0, definitely a surprise, and definitely a good sign for things to come.
So you'll have all week to look forward to it, and all week for us to build it up on redraiders.com and lubbocksonline.com. That's where all of our work will be, both videos, podcasts, and the old-fashioned writing as well. This will put a wrap on another post-game show brought to you by University Medical Center. For HA Media Sports Editor Nick Talbot, I'm Don Williams. We'll talk to you again soon.